Republican presidential hopefuls on stage last evening in Manchester, New Hampshire, each pressed for dramatic change to what Ron Paul called a Keynesian bubble that has been going on for 70 years. With more on which candidate spoke best about his or her economic plan, we bring in Jim Kessler. He is co-founder of Third Way. It's a think tank that seeks to put the drama of politics aside, find solutions for citizens. Jim is joining us now from Washington. Jim, which candidate do you think did the best? I mean, did anyone propose anything close to a credible budget plan? Didn't sound that way.
I don't think so. I mean, look, the candidate who did the best was the front runner who came out unscathed, Mitt Romney, but it's not because he put out some great plan that people are going to be talking about for the next few days. He came out because he came out of the debate without a black eye. Look, they're all basically supporting the Paul Ryan budget. He's the House Republican chairman who put out a budget that is very aggressive on the spending side. That's mostly their economic plan. It appeals to a conservative base. It doesn't really appeal to the middle of the electorate. So they all know who their audience is in a primary. It's very conservative voters. Not sure it plays too well with the rest of the public.
The Ryan budget, you mentioned, worshipped on the right, but in trouble in general. I mean, some revenue that has to be on the table, right? At this point, everything should be on the table if we're talking about what's best for you as citizens.
So here are just the facts of the last 10 years. For the last 10 years, the United States has spent at historic highs and has taxed at historic lows. For 10 consecutive years. So the solution is going to have to come at both ends. As you said, everything's got to be on the table. There are four tires to this car. There's defense spending, there's revenue, there's what's called discretionary spending, and there's entitlement spending. You got to have all four tires on this deficit reduction package. You take one away, the car doesn't drive.
Jim, you mentioned that Mitt Romney didn't really put anything revolutionary out there last night, but he seemed to stay above the fray and basically just criticize President Obama, which seemed to be a unifying theme last evening. What about Tim Pawlenty? I mean, he seemed to have attacked Mitt Romney. He obviously has his own budget plan, but last night he seemed to play it safe.
Yeah, I think if there was one of the seven that needs to really figure out what they're doing wrong, it was Tim Pawlenty. I thought he gave a very lackluster performance in two ways. One is he attacked Romney hard the day before the debate, and then when he had a chance to say the same charge in front of Romney, he demurred. And to me, that looks like backing down. It looks like a character issue that he came out on the wrong side on in this debate. The second is he put out an economic plan that is a few days ago it's just totally in fairyland. It calls for the United States having 5% annual growth over the course of a decade. This country has never had 5% annual growth since its founding. Just by way of comparison, over the last 60 years before the recession, we averaged 3.3% growth. That was plenty good. 5%, unrealistic, super inflationary. I think he needs to sit down with his advisors and figure out, what am I doing? How do I get back on track?
We know, of course, his economic plan calls for dramatic tax cuts and seeks to get the U.S. producing at about 5% economic growth for a decade. We haven't seen that for a while. Jim Kessler, thank you so much. Jim Kessler, co-founder of Third Way.